Everybody, welcome back. Taking a look at 28 weeks later. When days turn to weeks, the horror returns. Beyond high definition. This is the Blu-ray because there's no 4K release for this movie. At least I don't think there is. Maybe we'll get one in the near future with 28 years later coming out shortly. But nothing I'm aware of at the moment. And I would have done a video for 28 days later, but I don't know 28 days later. I did watch it recently. I watched it last week. I streamed it. Fortunately, it's available to stream again. It was unavailable to stream for quite some time. And I watched 28 weeks later yesterday, the day before, to prepare myself for 28 years later, which I plan on seeing this weekend. And I was fortunate to see Days and Weeks in the theater. And you would think 28 years later would be the cap, the trilogy, but I think they're making 3 of them. I think that's the intention anyways. They have, at least they already announced the second one. I think it's like 28 years Bone Temple or something like that. Not sure what the context is there for Bone Temple, but I'll find out this weekend. And 28 days later, that one's just out of print. But I like this one. I think 28 days later probably has a greater chance of getting a re-release due to Sony acquiring the rights for it. Sony's been pretty good for physical media, and I imagine they want to make money. Disney, I'm pretty sure Disney owns 28 Weeks Later in the sense of distribution rights now with their Fox deal, and they've been putting some movies out recently like Tombstone and Kingdom of Heaven that I really didn't expect them to put out on 4K, so maybe they'll come around to this one as well with, again, the pursuit of money. So, but anyway, so yeah, the Blu-ray here. There's a spine there. Yeah, the back of the packaging. Excuse me. And I don't know if the Blu-rays had the standard they had to adhere to for their packaging, but I feel like this looks very similar to a lot of Blu-rays, like the back of the packaging. Maybe like Fox had their standard, and I think Sony did too. Like I think like Sony has like this swoop that's coming in. I don't know, but it really pushes the experience. Like it's Blu-ray, and Blu-ray technology takes you beyond high definition for the ultimate home theater experience. I don't really know what that means, beyond high definition. So in this, can you see that? How about this? A little bit, I guess. In this heart-stopping horror sequel to 28 Days Later, the U.S. Army steps in to help repatriate mainland Britain after the rage virus has finally been eliminated. Yeah, if the U.S. Army stepping in to, occupy you, I would say things probably aren't going to go very well. History says that, things aren't going to go well. But one of the returning refugees carries a terrible secret that threatens to reignite the deadly explosion of bloodlust, carnage, and chaos. I guess that sums it up. So that would be the rage virus here. Oh yeah, the mentioned rage virus. Like I just said it two seconds ago. The This Blu-ray has smart menu technology, which floats on screen during playback, so you never leave the film. Okay, I don't really know why that'd be appealing, but so we have some special features here, commentary from the director co-writer Juan Carlos Fresnadillo. Hope I'm pronouncing that right, Juan. Deleted scenes, Code Red, the making of 28 Days Later feature ad, the Infected feature ad, animated chapters from 28 Days Later, the Aftermath. Okay, I don't really know what that's all about in the theatrical trailer. No mention about the actors in this movie at all, so this movie has I think, a really good cast. It has Robert Carlyle, who the first movie I saw him in was like The Big Monty. Like when The Big Monty came out, that was like a big deal. It was good. It was a fun movie, but it's just one of those movies you'd like, if you had the day off from school or something and you turned on, morning talk shows, they're probably talking about The Big Monty. And Rose Byrne's in this, who looks suitably tired. She's a scientist who's been up too long, and Jeremy Renner is in this. And this is before Hurt Locker. Hurt Locker really put Jeremy Renner on the map, and he was in a few movies before this, but this is the first movie where I was thinking, hey, that guy's going places, and then he was in the Hurt Locker shortly after, and then his career really took off. And who else is in this? Idris Elba's in this. Imogen Poots is in this. That's not even mentioned anywhere here. Is her name even listed here? No way. They don't even have her name listed here. And she's great. I think she's really good in this. And she was in this movie called Vivarium with j.a.s.m.r. I think that's his last name. And really fun, creepy movie where this couple move into this new development, like this suburban development where all the houses look virtually the same, and they get trapped in this this house. They can't leave their neighborhood. I know it's kind of light on details, but if you see Vivarium when you're scrolling through your endless streaming options, I would definitely stop on and push play. I really enjoyed it. She was also in The Green Room. I think she was in The Green Room, and that's excellent too. But anyways, yeah, so the cast is really good in this, and I know the first one has Cillian Murphy, of course, but Cillian Murphy wasn't Cillian Murphy at the time. I think I don't know if that was his feature film debut or not, but Brendan Gleeson's in the first one, and more actors than that, but I'm drawing a blank right now. But anyways, so we have the cover here. It's all bathed in red. We have the surgical mask, which this cover definitely has a different vibe of sorts after COVID, of course. And we have our I don't want to call him David Bowie eyes. I think David Bowie, I think his pupils are just different sizes. But you know what I mean, different colored eyes. I'm sure there's like a medical term for it or something, but I don't know what it is. And yeah, so I really like this sequel. It was pretty well received when it came out. I feel like if you go online, there's more people dunking on this movie. It may just be the places online that I frequent, but this movie did review well, and I don't think I made as much money as 28 Days Later, so. But it definitely made money. Like, it didn't have that large of a budget. Like, 28 Days Later, of course, had a very small budget, and I think this did as well. And so it is a little surprising it has taken them so long to make a sequel to it, because it's a horror film. They tend to do reasonably well in general, at least compared to like other genres. So when you have a movie that, you know, makes like $50 million or something, you just kind of anticipate another one. Whether it deserves a sequel or not is a different question, but I'm glad that it took so long for the sequel, because I don't think this movie retreads the story. Like, the first one, you know, kind of has Cillian Murphy as a stand-in for the audience and doesn't know what's going on. He's taken almost a road trip of sorts till you get to the third act, and things shift gears a little bit. And this movie, the opening sequence, is actually directed by Danny Boyle, and that, you know, perhaps naturally feels the most like 28 Days Later, just the way it's shot. It's not shot on the DV, like the Canon digital video camera he was using. I don't think it was. The clarity looked a little bit better. I think this movie is a combination of digital and film, actually. And once you have that opening sequence where a character makes a choice, I suppose, and that choice is a catalyst of sorts for all the events that unfold afterwards. And it does have quite a bit of downtime, though. Like, it takes about, you know, after the opening, it's right around 40-45 minutes before like the movie kind of goes off the rails a little bit, where, you know, all hell breaks loose, if you will. And I like the sequences of events that lead up to that moment, because it's just more of a combination of, you know, hubris and, you know, just being naive, ineptness, just certain things that, you know, just in recent past, you can like, oh yeah, I can totally believe that, you know, things spiraled out of control that quickly, and the U.S. occupying force, their, you know, solution is just to kill everything, which seems suitable. And it does have a pretty good night vision scene too. I always like a good night vision scene, and I can't say it's up there with like Silence of the Lambs probably has like the best night vision scene in any movie. And if you're familiar with the movie The Descent, that has an amazing jump scare that's framed around night vision. So maybe probably not as good as those, but happy to see night vision in a movie, and it's done pretty well. The one thing about this movie that kind of irritates me a little bit is the teleporting dad. I feel one of the characters travels a great distance and shows up at a point where it actually takes me out of the movie, where it kind of like, you know, where the hell did you come from? Like, how'd you get here? And I wish it was just a bit more organic as to, you know, how that character appears when they do. It doesn't really make too much sense, where all the other events that you know, unfold, you can excuse just for, again, you know, human error, if you will. So anyways, enjoy this movie. I'll definitely revisit it. I've revisited it a few times, and really looking forward to seeing 28 years later this weekend. So thanks for watching.